It's the penultimate round of the 2024 season for the Prototype Cup Germany. It was only a week ago that we were at the Hockenheim Ring in the glorious sunshine. Well, that feels like a distant memory. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a distinctly cold, chilly and rainy Nürburgring. We are under the shadow of Nürburg Castle. We're hoping that the rain is going to hold off. We've had an awful lot of it today, but the track has now dried out, although the race steward has declared this as a wet race. But we are very excited for this. A week ago, we saw Julian Apostolos and Riccardo Cirelli take 2 wins. It was 3 races over the weekend at Hockenheim last weekend. They took 2 of them. The other one went in the direction of Klaus Abelin and Felipe Laser, both of them taking their first ever wins in the Prototype Cup Germany. It is a series that has absolutely enthralled us this year. These spectacular beasts are a sight to behold and a sound to behold as well, and have provided us with some wonderful racing. There's a very big crowd here to watch them here this weekend as part of the DTM package. But one of the reasons we have a very big crowd watching this in particular, as we welcome to the grid of Prototype Cup Germany Formula One racer Ralf Schumacher, making his first competitive start in a motor race in 12 years, along with his son David Schumacher. They've already proven to be a potent combination in free practice. They were a potent combination in the evening sunshine yesterday during qualifying. They proved that by putting the car on pole position. They are in the US Racing Ligier, of course, the team that is headed up by Ralf Schumacher and Gerhard Unger. And they are a very welcome addition as guests here at the Nürburgring. What has been an excellent season becomes even more fascinating with this addition to the grid. Alongside me, the voice of DTM. Well, you've spoken about both David and Ralf Schumacher over the years. I bet you're looking forward to this one, Chris Hartley.
Absolutely, yeah, hello everybody, welcome along. Yeah, both former DTM racers. Ralf Schumacher there, his first competitive race this for 12 years, but he managed to bang it on pole position. He was also within 1/10 of a second of son David, who they both, of course, take part in qualifying, with one qualifying session taken part by each driver, sending the grid for each of the races. And David said, I wasn't expecting Dad to be quite that quick. He hasn't forgotten his way around here. He was the winner of 6 Formula One Grand Prix, and amongst his team were Williams, and he won the 2003 European Grand Prix at this very circuit, at the Nürburgring, in a 1-2 finish ahead of his teammate, Juan Pablo Montoya, with the 2 Williams. There's David Schumacher giving a high five to his dad, and the whole reason for this really is that he's always for a long time wanted to take part in a race with his son David. The team which Ralf runs has got this V8 prototype, and it's the ideal opportunity to come out and have a bit of fun, and they are there at the front of the grid for both of the races this weekend. Julian Apostolos, though, is going for the championship title, and he's ahead of his championship rivals on the grid. So he was actually pretty satisfied with the way qualifying went.
Yes, he was. He and Riccardo Cirelli, his co-driver, were looking so dominant at the Hockenheim Ring, but for an instant in race 3, they could have made it a hat-trick on the weekend. That man there, Chiana Alazzari, one of the absolute up-and-coming superstars in Prototype Cup racing. Only 16 years old. We saw him take his first win of the season at Zandvoort, and he is very, very rapid. Ralf Schumacher might be a Formula One race winner, a former Formula One race winner, but he has the new generation, the next generation of superstars all around him. Julian Apostolos, Chiana Alazzari, and Valentino Catalano, not to mention championship leader Danny Sufi, who's also in close proximity. They would dearly love to beat Ralf Schumacher on his home territory. So there's more than just trophies up for grabs here. Of course, Ralf and Dad David will not be scoring points. They are a guest entrance. As we look at the Conrad Motorsport Ligier that has Danny Soufi at the wheel, he is sharing the driving with the bronze-rated Torsten Kratz. And the ratings of the driver are very significant. We'll tell you a little bit more about that as things get underway. But there is a driver, well, he had 2 drive-through penalties in one race at the Hockenheim Ring last weekend, and he still managed to get a really good points haul. Antti Ramo is another of the really impressive drivers. He's bronze-rated from Estonia. He took a race win at Zandvoort and is always troubling the leaders.
Yeah, this is Luca Link making his debut in the Prototype Cup. He's only had 1 season of car racing, having come from a karting background. He raced last year in the BMW M2 Cup, and his best result in the BMW M2 Cup came at this track with a 5th place finish. So I'll be looking forward to taking his Duquesne around this circuit. These wonderful V8 cars, 455 brake horsepower and the 5.6 litre V8. There's no better sound than a V8, is there, Brian?
Oh, it's wonderful when these cars burst into life. The ground absolutely shakes, and that's exactly what they've done. The cars now with the engines running. We are about 30 seconds away now from the start of the formation lap. It is race 9 of a 12-race season. With all of the talk of the Schumachers and all the excitement, we have to remember there is a championship at stake, and it's Danny Soufi and Torsten Kratz who lead the championships. They are 27 points ahead of Julian Apostolos and Riccardo Cirelli, who will be looking back on that 3rd race with a little bit of sadness from Hockenheim last weekend. 3rd in the championship standings, Marcus Pommer and Valentina Catalano. They are 28 points back from their championship leader, but don't discount Felipe Laser, Klaus Abelin, and especially Keanu Alazari. He's in 5th place at the moment, but he is closing in on the championship leaders with every passing race. So we start the formation lap here. This is Prototype Cup Germany at the Nürburgring, a circuit that is 3.629 kilometers around with 11 turns, 4 to the left and 7 to the right. The track is a little bit slippery in places. Although it's dried out on the pit straight, you can see there are some wet patches. These cars are driven on the edge, and very easy to get it all wrong. So it ain't all done and dusted until the checkered flag falls. We are looking forward to 55 minutes of exciting racing.
Yeah, mandatory pit stop as well between the 22nd and 32nd minute of the race. That can be a key factor as well. But here, Brian, is the grid.
Ralf Schumacher, Julian Apostolos on the front row of the grid. Keanu Alazari running solo alongside Valentina Catalano, and all Duquesne row 2 of the grid. On row 3, Danny Soufi and Antti Ramo in the Ligiers. And on row 4 of the grid, Luca Link and Stefan Aus. Luca, who made his debut last weekend with Suelo Almeida, looked very impressive there. Klaus Abelin and Sven Bart are on row 5 of the grid, and on row 6 it is Jaime Guzman and Maxim Dirks who bring up the rear of the pack. Now, all of these cars, we're running for 55 minutes plus 1 lap. All of these cars will need to make a mandatory pit stop when the pit window opens. The pit window will open 22 minutes into the race. It will remain open for 10 minutes, and during that time, every car will need to visit the pits. We'll tell you a little bit more about other issues with the pit window as the race progresses, but at the moment we are getting ready for the start of this race. You can see the championship standings there in front of you. Not entirely sure they're as up to date as the ones I gave, but anyway, out of turn 11 we come. We are getting ready for race 9 of a 12-race season for the Prototype Cup Germany. Out onto the pit straight, 4 red lights on, and in a moment it will be 4 red lights off, and we are racing. And it's Ralf Schumacher who moves across to block Julian Apostolos, but Apostolos has a little look to the inside, then to the outside. Keep an eye on Danny Soufi. going 3 abreast into turn 1. That tight first corner with a little bit of a downhill section. Everybody makes it through that first corner, but it's Ralf Schumacher who steps off that pole position. Julian Apostolos there as well, but Valentina Catalana up into 3rd place. Chiara Alizari coming under pressure from Danny Sufi. Antti Ramo in there as well. Great opportunity to fight for positions while they're all close together, but an opportunity to get it all wrong, and that looks like Chiara Alizari, who has got it a little bit wrong. Certainly going wide on the corner. He's able to rejoin without any damage, but now to the inside, Danny Sufi on Antti Ramo. The 2 cars running side by side, picking up a little bit of curb, but it's Danny Sufi who's holding on to that 4th place, and now Chiara Alizari coming back after that moment on to Antti Ramo.
Yeah, great start, wasn't it? From 5th on the grid for Danny Sufi in the number 2 Conrad car. They're still sorting themselves out. There's still patches of damp, big patch of damp there. That run up towards the hill, up towards the chicane as they come out of Advan Boga. So switching around now. Luca Link with a pretty good start as well, running in 7th place. So they make their way through the Vidal chicane for the first time in the race. After that steep uphill climb, you still incline up towards the final corner at Hyundai through the right-hander to complete another lap, looking to squeeze up the inside there and gain a place at the number 70 of Valentino Catalano, who's not had the best of starts to the race, but the race leader, Ralf Schumacher, 2.7 seconds clear of Apostolos at the end of the first lap of the race. Catalano is 4 seconds down in 3rd place. Danny Sufi into 4th place, and Alzari, despite a wide moment earlier on in the race, is in 5th place.
Yeah, we always knew Ralf Schumacher was going to be quick, didn't we? Luca Link in car number 7 with Jaime Guzman alongside him. A good start from Sven Bart. He's up into 6th place at the moment. There is Jaime Guzman with Luca Link just behind. Luca Link challenging for position, one of the many young chargers in this, challenging Jaime Guzman, who is a bronze-rated driver. So there's damage for Antti Ramo and a flat tyre as well, so he's going to have to come into the pits. So there's been some contact. Let's have a look, see what happened there. He went straight on in turn 1. Did he make contact with the barrier? I expect he probably did. Oh no, the tyre had gone already, so the right rear tyre was deflated, which meant he was unable to get it slowed down into turn 1. Wonder if that was as a result of earlier contact.
Yeah, that rubbing on lap 1 with Danny Sufi, didn't he? And that tyre had already gone, and it's gone at the worst possible place right at the start of the lap, which means he's got to hobble all the way around almost 3.6 kilometres of the Nürburgring just to get the car back. He wants to go as quickly as he can under the circumstances, but he's going to damage the bodywork of the car if he goes too quickly. So that's going to be really tricky for the Estonian driver, I'm afraid. He's been really impressive at times during the course of this season. Meanwhile, the leaders have gone through, and 4.6 seconds clear now is Ralf Schumacher of Apostolos. Catalano is within a within 9/10 of a second of Apostolos. Sufi in 4th, Alcazari in 5th, Sven Bart in 6th place, and Guzman has got back ahead of Luca Link for 7th.
So as Antti Ramo brings the A-Link car home, and you get the feeling that may be into retirement, we take a look at our race leader for us racing. Well, we always knew Ralf Schumacher was going to be quick, and David Schumacher, who is sharing the driving duties of that car with him, is no slouch either. He's a 2-time GT Masters winner this year, but you can see 4.599 over Julian Apostolos. It won't have any effect on the championship. Julian Apostolos, if the race finished now, would get the maximum 25 points, because this is a guest entry. Great to raise the profile of Prototype Cup Germany, this wonderful series. So with 50 3/4 minutes on the clock, and as we look at the race leader, to explain to you, we said there was the mandatory pit stop. There is a minimum pit stop time of 95 seconds. Every driver is rated by the FIA. We have gold-rated drivers like Ralf Schumacher and Felipe Laser. We have silver-rated drivers, very much the up-and-coming chargers. We have bronze-rated drivers, tend to be more of the kind of pro-am gentleman driver. Depending on the driver combinations in the seat of the car, depends on how long their minimum pit stop will be. So there's the basic 95 seconds. Then on top of that, there is a handicap that is added depending on the FIA rating. So for 2 silver drivers, it is an additional 20 seconds. Just to break away from that, car number 2, a drive-through penalty for causing a collision. That one that we saw with Antti Ramo, I expect. So, championship leader, Danny Sufi, a drive-through penalty will drop him to the back of the pack, and that is pretty disastrous for his championship challenge. So as I was saying, the drivers that are silver-silver combinations have an additional 20 seconds on top of the 95-second minimum pit stop time. Drivers that are silver and bronze, it's an additional 10 seconds, as Luca Link also has a bit of a moment running wide. He's able to rejoin. That was up at turn 5, so he's able to rejoin. Doesn't look like he's connected with anything. Drivers that are gold and bronze, it's an additional 10 seconds. For the Schumachers, it's an additional 20 seconds. For drivers that are running solo, Chiara Alizari, a solo silver driver, it's an additional 25 seconds. For the solo bronze drivers, it is 0 seconds. So the solo bronze drivers stand to gain in the pit stop windows. We see Danny Sufi coming in for his drive-through penalty. He is sharing with Torsten Kratz, so that would be an additional 10 seconds on top of their minimum of 95 seconds. There is the car that he connected with. Antti Ramo looks to be out of the race. It sounds complicated with the pit stops, but it's great because it does level up the field. Just to add to that, there is an additional 7 seconds for the previous race winner. In this case, Felipe Laser and Klaus Ablin. An additional 4 seconds for second place. In this case, Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi. I'll feel that one. And an additional 2 seconds for Marcus Pommer and Valentina Catalano. If you're confused, check it out. Have a look at the Prototype Cup website on the ADAC or Preventic, and it's all explained there, probably better than I did. But it's a great way of leveling up the racing and giving us really close racing. And it does mean that it ain't over until it's over, because when the pit stops come and go, the whole dynamic of the race changes.
Yeah, so that drive-through penalty around the length of the pit lane that we have at the Nürburgring here will have cost around about 30 to 32 seconds to Danny Sufi, because he went past, if you saw the pictures in the pit lane, the car that he had the contact with, Antti Ramo, who's still stranded in the pit lane. So it's not just a case of changing the completely delaminated rear tyre on Antti Ramo's car. There's obviously some underlying damage, possibly caused by that deflated tyre, and having to drive it all the way around the lap. So looking at the rear of the car, Antti Ramo still stuck in the pit lane at the moment. So it's moved others up. Al-Khazari has moved up to 4th place now and has just set the best lap of the race, a 1:28.012. So the driver who's also competed in Formula 3, in Spanish Formula 3 this year, quicker than even the race leader. So personal best lap for Ralf Schumacher with a 1:29.0. Low 130s for Potolov and Catalano in 2nd and 3rd, and flying after them in 4th place with the fastest lap, a 1:28.0 for Al-Khazari's, within 2 seconds now of Catalano. So they're absolutely charging along. Bart is up into 5th place, Guzman's up to 6th, Link is up to 7th, and then Aust is next up, and this is gaining at one of those places back, Danny Sufi on Maxim Direk. So he dropped down to 10th place after that drive-through penalty. He's just got that place back and he's into 9th position, and the Conrad car, I think very shortly, he's going to be finding his way past the 71 car of Stefan Aust, and that will put him back into 8th position. But he's going to be more than 30 seconds down on the race leader. Another absolute best first sector for Al-Khazari as well, who is charging, and that is Luca Link in the 7 car on the 47 of Jaime Guzman, trying to recover from his error, and that puts him back up to 6th place now.
Every place is important. Points are paid to everybody who is classified in this race. And when you're fighting for a championship, you need every point you can get. And that is why Danny Sufi is pressing hard. Currently in that 8th place. Will be looking to move his way up as we go. Right, peeling off into the pit lane. I'm just trying to see who that is that dropped off into the pits. And
Guzman, was it?
It may have been. I've got no indication of who it is at the moment. So certainly a car that did peel off into the pit lane. And it is Jaime Guzman. Yes, so at a 10th place. So some issues there. Jaime Guzman He's sharing with Mikkel C. Johansen, the Danish driver, this weekend. But I wonder if there is a problem. It's not in the pit window. Looks like there is an issue with that car. The door is open. The door is shut again. So the crew working on it. Oh, and they've still got the jack underneath it. He's pulled away. And, well, I think the race stewards will probably be frowning upon that. He's pulled away with the hoses still attached. And finally, he gets the car. Oh no, he doesn't get the car moving.
Still got something wedged
still got
in the car.
I think it's still the. Is it a jack or or something? It's the lollipop.
Side,
yeah, the lollipop, not jack. So he rejoins. That's a bit of a disaster. So clearly there was an issue. I have a horrible feeling he may well have to revisit the pits because the stewards don't take too kindly to things like that happening in the pit lane. So have another look there. He had to do the door open. There was a driver, one of the crew. I don't know what that was underneath. I think it was the lollipop, was it?
Yeah, it was.
It was the lollipop. It was under there already.
And he was attached to the hydraulics for the air jack as well. Just a complete miscommunication between the driver and the team there, I'm afraid. It wasn't even for long, wasn't it? It was like he opened the door, had a quick chat, and then they didn't really work on the car. And he got back underway, but a bit too keen to get back into the race. And he is under investigation for an unsafe release. Just to update you as well, Antti Ramo. The good news, he left the pit box. The bad news, he was only to go into the paddock. He has, I'm afraid, retired from the race. So all of this has put Danny Sufi back up to 7th place now, but he's nearly 35 seconds down on the race lead. He's not really worried so much about Ralf Schumacher as Julian Potlos and Catalano as well, who was 2nd and 3rd, and his nearest rivals in the championship fight. Another absolute best first sector for Alzari in the 21 car, as you can see, put him right on the case now of that red and black number 70 Valentino Catalano driven Gebhard Motorsport car. Still you've got that stream running across the circuit there as they come out of the right-hander at turn 7, but on the Michelin slick tyres they're dealing with it. And there you go, confirmation, a drive-through penalty for an unsafe release for Jaime Guzman, the Mexican in the number 47 car, to add to his woes.
This is a great lead. It is for great race. It is for 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the race, but it is for 1st, 2nd and 3rd in terms of points. This is very significant because Julian Apostolos and Riccardo Cirelli are closing in on Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi, who are at the top of the points standings. Every point will count. And with Danny Sufi having a tough time at the moment, this is a good opportunity to take a little bit more out of that lead. Ralf Schumacher continues to lead the way at the front. There is David Schumacher looking on. He's looking quite impressed, really, by his dad's performance, isn't he? He may well be, because he's got 10.2 seconds over Julian Apostolos in 2nd place. So he really is showing why he is a former 7-times winner in Formula 1.
Yeah, but he's no way he's ever going to tell his dad he's impressed with him, is he? Never.
You never do that.
Son will never do that. You're always embarrassed by your parents, aren't you? But he's driving brilliantly, isn't he? 12 years away, it feels like 12 days. He's driving beautifully. Remember, of course, for both of them, a debut in this car as well. So doing a great job. David is now off the pit wall and getting ready to get into the car. But he, a very quick driver as well, former DTM racer for a couple of years. And having started his career, of course, as a single-seater racer, racing as high up the order as Formula 3, and doing a good job in that. But he's concentrated on GTs the last few years, and 2 back-to-back wins in the GT Masters Championship to see him rise up into 3rd place in those standings. So he'll be getting in for Ralf Schumacher, who's going to give him a comfortable lead by the looks of it. 11.3 seconds clear, but we have that change, haven't we, for 3rd place. Look, the blue and white car, the Valcazari, is now ahead of Catalano. It's no surprise, really, the way he was reeling him in, and it won't be any surprise, Brian, if in the next lap or so he's got himself onto the case of that pink number 8 car of Julian Apostolos. This is a replay of where he did it, and he was given room, in fairness, by Catalano, but it was a good move under braking on the way into the chicane.
This is a driver who has impressed so much on his debut as Jaime Guzman's day goes from bad to worse. He's had a moment, he's spun the car around, he's able to rejoin, doesn't look like he's made contact with anything. But let's have another look here. It's turn 1 in towards turn 2, just going out wide. It is very slippery off the racing line.
So a lot of gravel on the track as well from an earlier excursion,
Yes.
which won't have helped him in fairness.
Of which there have been many. So Gianna Alazzari in 3rd place. He's a 3 times winner in F4 Spain this year. He is one of the absolute up-and-coming talents in motorsport, and he's taken to the LMP3 category like the duck to water. He needs to get as far ahead of the opposition as he can, because he will be stationary for 5 seconds longer than Julian Apostolos, or indeed Valentina Catalana, or indeed Ralf Schumacher when the pit window opens. So, because he's a solo silver driver, he's got a lot of work to do. He's the fastest man on the track again. Ralf Schumacher did briefly take the fastest lap, but now Azari has responded at 1:27.665. But the pit stops are going to hurt him, because he will be stationary for 5 seconds longer than any of the cars around him.
On the last lap, Dani Sufi found his way past Luca Link as well, so he's got another place back. He's back into 6th position, and he's also just on that lap set the absolute best first sector time. So Sufi flying, but he's now 37 seconds down on the leader. This is the battle for 2nd place, though, between Apostolos and Alcazari. Alcazari has hooked himself now onto the rear wing of the number 2 car. They make their way off the full Grand Prix circuit. That's where they cut the corner through turn 5. The circuit drops away there, and very tricky on the balance of the cars. Then they go left through turn 6, right through turn 7, the Bilstein curve, accelerate uphill now, quite steeply uphill. Camera pictures flatten it off a bit, but it's a pretty steep, long climb all the way up then to the end of sector 2 and into the Vidal chicane. Well, they'll slow the cars down again and hit the brakes hard, turn left, turn right, and try to nibble the curbs to straight line the corners as much as they can. But Alcazari is absolutely flying here. This is his 7th consecutive time that he's qualified in the top 3, because he lost those positions on lap 1, but he is on a charge now. He gets a bit twitchy though as he tries to unleash 455 brake horsepower. A slight error there, which has cost him acceleration.
Out onto the pit straight they come. This is the battle for maximum points in this race. 25 for a win, 20 for 2nd, and 16 for 3rd. And that is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the points. But Apostolos overcooks it into turn 1. Gianna Alazzari does not need any more invitation than that. He sweeps to the inside, then to the outside, past Julian Apostolos. Now Apostolos already coming under pressure from Valentina Catalana as well. So he made that mistake. He went wide. He's had to regather himself, but it's taken a couple of corners to get it back together. But Gianna Alazzari doing exactly what he needs. Look at Valentina Catalana getting squeezed to the side, but still Julian Apostolos, he's regathered it. Now his focus is on keeping the red and black car behind him. The co-pilot of the car behind is the defending champion. They are in the champion hunt, but Julian Apostolos needs every point he can, because he's trying to close in on Dani Sufi and Torsten Kratz. Into the pits, Jaime Guzman looks as though, well, there's some heated discussions going on. We saw that pit stop earlier, and it looks as though he may well have called it a day. If not, it's certainly going to be a long way back.
Yeah, and in that battle in terms of the championship as well, Apostolos and Catalano, just 1 point between them, 2nd and 3rd in the championship coming into this race, 27 and 28 points back on Torsten Kratz and Dani Sufi, but of course they have got their own problems. Alcazari coming through then in that 2nd place has already pulled 2.7 seconds clear of Apostolos, having only just passed him at the start of this lap. There's only 0.4 of a second between Apostolos and Catalano now, and he goes wide and deep again on the way to turn 1. This is where it's still damp and tricky. Bit of a climb up then to the left-hander at turn 2 through the AMG arena in front of the grandstands here. Fantastic battle, and as you say, every championship point counts, and Catalano sniffs an opportunity here. He's going to try to apply the pressure as much as he can to Apostolos to try and force him into a mistake. They come out of turn 4 and head back down towards the hairpin, Brian.
Gianna Alazzari will be looking to try and pull a 5-second gap on the fight behind him before the pit window opens, because what he doesn't want to do is come out behind them and have to do all of the work again. A spin again for Dani Sufi, the number 2 car, and all sorts of drama. So it made himself up to 6th place. Now, who's that went sweeping past?
Luca Link.
Luca Link. So he's done it on his own. So Link would have been up to 6. So he's only dropped 1 position by the looks of things, just going out wide. It is very wet off the racing line. We've had an awful lot of rain here today, and the car just getting away from Danny Sufi. He's able to rejoin. He's lost a position, but yeah, a long afternoon turning out for the number 2 car. Julian Apostolos in the 3rd place, and now with Valentina Catalano once again onto the pit straight. I think he's far enough ahead to be able to hold on that position into turn 1. Catalano trying to distract him, trying to hope he misses his braking point over the little bump on the braking point into the sharp right-hander. It goes downhill through the puddles. He goes deep into the corner, and Valentina Catalano just closing up a little bit more.
Alcazari in 2nd place is just at their best lap of the race, 1:27.151, 9/10 of a second quicker than the race leader, Ralf Schumacher. He's 11.1 seconds back, but the trouble is, Ralf and David Schumacher are going to stop for an additional 20 seconds, but as a single silver driver, 25 seconds in the pits, 5 seconds longer for Alcazari. But again, he's absolutely flying, absolute best first sector of the race. Here he is, Keanu, on a real charge here, the driver from the UAE. Look how quickly he's left behind him, that fight between Apostolos and Catalano. They are just dots in the rear view mirror now. He's on a real charge here and driving beautifully. Already, of course, a race winner this season in his first season in the Prototype Cup with that victory at Zandvoort a couple of rounds ago.
So if he can just find another 9/10 over the car. Oh, he's got a bit of damage at the back there, hasn't he? You can see part of the fairing at the back falling off the car. Now, this is where it happened. He went over the curb, he picked up a bollard. That's how hard he is trying. And now, whether that will have affected things at all, well, we'll find out from the lap times. I was about to say he needs about another 9/10 of a second over the cars behind him to be able to perform his pit stop and potentially keep the position. But with that damage, well, those parts are there for a reason. That's going to affect the handling of that car, not to mention with it flapping around, there's potential risk for a puncture from that, I'd say. We are 40 minutes away from the pit window opening, so we will have that 10-minute window that will open in about 30 seconds from now.
Well, that said, Alcazar's just set another best lap of the race, 1:27.147, another 4/10 quicker than Schumacher, as you can see there. He's gained over 2 seconds in the last lap, but yeah, it's always a worry when there's something loose on a car, and the team and he might be worried about getting a technical black flag. If there's something loose which could become detached, could become a dangerous object flying through the air, or there are fluids coming from the car, they are usually the 2 main reasons to be asked to leave the circuit. The pit window is open. Might be a good idea for Keanu to come in as soon as possible to get rid of that flapping trailing tail light that he's got on the car now, unless it becomes detached itself, but it's hanging on for dear life.
It really is. Well, he's staying out at the moment. He's got that 5 seconds now. He's got 5.010 over Julian Apostolos. So he could potentially come in, make his stop and get out again. Right, in comes Klaus Abelin. He'll be handing over to Felipe Laser. So into the pits, the Fricadelli Racing car comes to a stop. Their pit stop time will be 105 seconds. That's on account of Laser being a gold-rated driver, Abelin being bronze, so that's a 10-second additional stationary time to the 95 seconds. It was a bit of a moment for Abelin prior to coming into the pits. You can see he too going wide onto the grass as well, so lost a load of time there, but he's into the pits now. Felipe Laser is very rapid behind the wheel of that car, and he has a habit of coming through the field. The gap between Alcazari and Apostolos is 5.7 seconds, so if they do want to come in and tear that bit of trailing bodywork off Alcazari's car, he could potentially do it and not lose position.
The track is obviously drying up because the top 4 drivers have all just done personal best laps, even though those Michelin tyres, those slick tyres, have had a bit of wear and tear, because the cars are getting lighter of fuel now, which is helping as well. But the track is getting quicker. Still nobody quicker, though, than Keanu Alcazari. He's done a 3rd consecutive fastest lap of the race, another 1:27.1, another 3/10 quicker than Schumacher. He's got the gap down to 10.4 seconds, but as you say, crucially, he's 5.7 seconds clear now of Apostolos. He's got to stop for 5 seconds longer than Apostolos, and into the pits comes Valentino Catalano. Catalano in the number 70 Gebhardt car, the Ducan, coming in from 4th place. So in he comes, and their additional stop time on top of the minimum stop time is going to be 20 seconds. And in 2 has come Al Azari, and that is, I think, a good idea. So the team can now have a look at that damage, that flapping part of the car, the tail light that he's got, to try and sort that out and avoid any further worries.
So Al Azari will need to be from pit entry to pit exit 120 seconds. So that's going to feel like a long time. They've got 2 minutes to either repair it or rip it off. It looks like they're doing something to it anyway. He's getting the obligatory wash on the windscreen. Got to make sure you see where you're going. But really impressive stuff from Keanu Al Azari. Catalano, who's handing over to defending champion Marcus Pommer. Sven Bart also into the pits. He's handing over to Michael Lyons from the UK. Great to have Michael Lyons here again. We've seen him, well, we saw him last year and the year before. His best so far has been a 6th place. That was at Lausitzring 2022. But he's a driver who's a regular winner in the historic race at Monaco, the historic Formula 1 race. Talking of Formula 1 races, a Formula 1 driver is done for the day. He is into the pits. Ralf Schumacher, our race leader. He can take it nice and easy. David Schumacher will be poised and ready for action as the US Racing car, the Ligier, comes into the pits. There is David Schumacher. He's limbered up. Finally, the father and son get to race together. A great moment, an emotional moment for Ralf as he sees his son now jump into the seat. He's going to be taking over after all the hard work. It was Ralf who qualified the car. He put it on pole position. And now David Schumacher squeezes himself into the Ligier seat. Ralf helps him to get buckled up. There's no massive hurry here. Their pit window is the same as Silver, so it is 115 seconds. So plenty of time to get buckled up and get sorted into the car.
Al Azari got out ahead of Catalano, as well as he should have, really, because he had that 5.7 second lead over the car that was directly behind him, which is also into the pits now, Potolos, and a further second or so back was the number 70 car. So it is still the 21 car of Al Azari ahead of the number 70 machine. Potolos is in the pits now. David Schumacher is about to fire up the engine and go into the race on a track which is getting quicker and quicker and drier and drier. So well done, Dad. Really good effort for Ralf Schumacher. I suspect he enjoyed his return to racing. Maybe he won't leave it 12 years again before he goes again, because he's clearly still got it, the 49-year-old. And David Schumacher now fires up the number 27 US racing car, waiting for that lollipop to rise, to time, or try to time it to perfection, to get to the end of the pit lane just as the clock ticks to 0, but not a fraction of a second earlier. Otherwise, you will be in big trouble. So Luca Link and Danny Sufi have both stayed out. They'll pick up 1st and 2nd positions for the time being, with 5 minutes to go before the pit window closes.
Julian Potolos has handed over to Riccardo Cirelli. You can see the clock ticking down. He will be rolling. There is Ralf Schumacher. And he looks happy with that, doesn't he? So good to see him back on the grid and to see him racing. And he's lost none of his sparkle, has he? Right, so Riccardo Cirelli is back out on track. So he has come out ahead of Keanu Al Azari. So up into turn 2 at the moment, Riccardo Cirelli. So Al Azari, according to the track that I've got in front of me, is behind him, and then Marcus Pommer. It is going to be, well, potentially, it will be Riccardo Cirelli who could inherit the lead of this race. But we've still got Luca Link, Danny Sufi out on track, not the lead, sorry, the 2nd place. And it'll be David Schumacher who is the leader of the pit stoppers.
Yeah, the Pommer car is ahead, isn't it, of the number 2 car now, driven by Torsten Kratz. Long way down, though, on 21, Al Azari. He's at turn 7 and just about to come into turn 6 now is the number 70 car, driven by Marcus Pommer. So in terms of the championship contenders, the 70 car, Catalano and Pommer, the Gebhardt car, are picking up the advantage through that pit stop phase, getting just ahead of their rivals potentially. But you've got also Danny Sufi still out there trying to get involved somehow in the fight. I don't know if he's going to get a podium out of this, but a top 5 would be good. He's 1.8 seconds behind Luca Link. Of course, he already overtook on his way back up into the top 6 before he had that spin. So he is driving pretty quickly at the moment. Luca Link's last lap time at the race, current race leader, yet to make a pit stop, was a 1:27.4. It was actually a little bit quicker, a tenth quicker than Sufi. But Luca Link has now come into the pits from the race lead. So Danny Sufi, if he stays out, will but now pick up the race lead. But effectively, of course, this is the race leading car, David Schumacher, having made its pit stop, the first of the pit stoppers. They actually gained a bit of time on Al-Khazari, but not much, given that it had 5 seconds less in the pit stop. So the gap's still only about 13 seconds between them, which means David is going to have to continue to work hard. Then it'll be Cirelli, then Catalano, and Michael Lyons, who's got this long relationship which has gone on for over 10 years between himself and the ADAC Motorsport Squad. Comes and does the odd race over here in Germany. But look at the lap time for Felipe Laser. Absolute best. The gold-rated driver, 1:26.759 in the number 30 Fricadelli car.
We said keep an eye on him, didn't we? He's going to be coming through the field. Just to confirm that Keanu Al-Azari did receive what is known in the trade as the meatball flag, the black and orange flag, to call him into the pits. That's why he pitted when he did, because of that trailing bodywork. But it didn't look to have slowed him any. His pit stop was about what we expected it to be. Danny Sufi still out on track at the moment. He's got less than 2 minutes of the pit window. Now, David Schumacher, who's taken over from Ralf, that is the number 27 car. He's leading the way. Has he had a bit of a moment? Well, he's certainly learning a bit of drifting there. And Ralf...
It's a bit hot out there, he said.
Is that the hard work that he has done today? And he's now looking on at his son to bring it home. But Keanu Al-Azari in that second place behind him after the pit window closes. Right, Danny Sufi into the pit. So he's handing over to Torsten Kratz.
Yeah, Ralf Schumacher's certainly kept himself fit, though, hasn't he? 12 years out of a race car, but...
Oh, it's a big lock-up in a turn one there.
Lock-up, yeah, smoking the tyres. I reckon that was...
That was Lyons.
Was it number 7 car? No, it wasn't.
It was Michael Lyons.
Just in front of the 7 car, yeah, so of Almeida. That is the number 90 car of Michael Lyons, who's driven everything you can think of. He's still only in his early 30s, the British driver. He's been out in the Prototype Cup. Most famous. Oh, he's going to lose the back end, though. Just got onto that wet grass. A full pirouette, 360 degrees. Gathers it back up together again, but great reactions. But that was a big old moment. He's got the windscreen wiper up as well, just to get slightly into his way. But it shows, doesn't it, how much rain we had before this race started. You get offline, you get onto that grass, and it is oh so slippy.
They drive these cars on the edge. We've seen it time and time again. We saw it last weekend with Julian Abotolos. You only need to set one wheel wrong and you are a passenger. With the wet outside to the circuit as well. But he's managed to get away with that one pretty well, I would say. The distinctive Momo Gebhard livery, lovely red and yellow. Pleased to say he didn't damage the livery. Danny Sufi now exiting the pits. No, he isn't. It's Torsten Kratz who's taken over from Danny Sufi. The unusual positioning of the windscreen wiper. I don't suppose he'll be too worried about that, or is he? He's coming into the pits. I wonder whether there is an issue. Is there a puncture? Has the tyre gone down? But into the pits comes Michael Lyons.
The tyres look okay, don't they? But obviously a worry with that car, which did snap away from him.
He's weaving it, isn't he? I wonder if there's an issue.
Wondering if, obviously the spin was caused by going on the mud, but what sent him that wide in the first place? So he feels that there's an issue with the car, I'm afraid. Michael Lyons, multiple winner of the Monaco Historic Grand Prix. His dad Frank Lyons and mom Judith Lyons also drive historic cars from time to time. Michael, a fantastic driver. The car, though, sadly, up on the jacks. David Schumacher has gone through 1:26.436 seconds, so he can boast to Dad that he's got the fastest lap that the car has driven in that race now. Dad will say, hang on a minute, the track's drier than when I was out there. But nonetheless, that is a good lap time, 1:26.4, 3/10 quicker than Al-Azari, which means Keanu is now 13.1 seconds adrift. He's nearly 9 seconds up, though, on the number 8 car of Cirelli. And then Pommer is falling back a bit, 1.3, nearly 1.4 seconds back on Cirelli, the number 70 car in 4th place. And then it should be Kratz or Aust that comes through next. I think it'll be Torsten Kratz, when that comes through next, just in front, actually, of the number 71 car of Stefan Aust. So they're going to be 5th and 6th, but pretty much nose to tail as they come past us in the commentary box position. About a length between them. Felipe Laser continues to fly, but the number 30 car is back in 10th place. His last lap, a 1:25.843. Laser, the quickest driver on track, but with lots of ground to try and make up.
You saw the Momo Gerhardt car of Michael Lyons in the pits. They've got the engine cover off. They were wobbling the wheels. Clearly, there is something that he feels is broken or is not working correctly. You could see them just trying to work out what it might be. They clearly decided it's something terminal. The engine cover goes on, but the driver exits the car, and it looks as though his afternoon is over. David Schumacher still leading the way. Keanu Alazari, a real opportunity to show himself on the world stage. A lot of people watching this race, and Keanu Alazari is showing so well. 13.4 seconds behind David Schumacher. We'll keep an eye on that gap. Felipe Laser still the quickest man on the track. He's up in 9th place at the moment and closing in on Jakob Erlbacher in 8th place.
Now, Marcus Pommer, 1:26.5 on the last lap in the number 70 car, 4th place, nearly half a second quicker than Cirelli. The gap down to just over a second, so that's worth keeping an eye on. Pommer getting into the groove in this race. And with that retirement of Michael Lyons, Felipe Laser, who is the quickest driver on track at the moment, now up into 9th place. So they're coming through shot, the number 8 car of Cirelli, and Pommer's within a second now, isn't he? Surely, as they go into turn 5. There you can see the gap came down by another 0.3 of a second on the previous lap. These two fighting to try and win the championship this year. Only 50 points available after this weekend, so theoretically the championship could be wrapped up this weekend. These two are trying to make sure it doesn't happen, and of course the championship leaders are behind both of them. Kratz in the number 2 car now, the Conrad car back in 5th place after their visit to the pits, their unexpected visit to the pits following that contact with Antin Ramo and Danny Sufi, which cost them over 30 seconds. But they've pulled a lot of it back, you know, because Torsten Kratz is now only 29 seconds back on the race leads. It was at one point, I think, about 37 seconds.
Yeah, good progress from Torsten Kratz. Here we have the new upstart, the 16-year-old Riccardo Cirelli, with the vastly experienced Marcus Pommer bearing down on him. Pommer, a winner in ADAC GT Masters, a real experienced driver against one of the up-and-coming chargers, Riccardo Cirelli, who stepped straight from karting into LMP3 at just 16 years old, doing a sterling job, having taken over from Julian Bottalos. But how much longer can he hold off Marcus Pommer? He's in the last of the podium positions. Keanu Alazari some 9 seconds up the road from them. So this is the fight potentially for the last of the trophies. Marcus Pommer has closed in on Riccardo Cirelli, putting the pressure on. Really important for the championship that Cirelli doesn't chuck it into the gravel trap or into the barrier. He needs to get the points for this race. As things stand at the moment, he's 3rd on the track, but if the race finished now, he would get the points for 2nd.
Yeah, which means an 8-point swing if you can pull off the overtake and go from 4th to 3rd and get the points for 2nd, which would be 20, rather than the points for 3rd, which would be 16. Remember, only a point between these two for 2nd in the championship. So Cirelli in the number 8 car is at the moment on 125 points, 124 points for Marcus Pommer. So he could move into 2nd place in the championship. Pommer and Catalano are looking for their 3rd consecutive podium finish. They haven't had a win since the very first round, as it became, of the championship at Lausitzring. The first round was meant to be at Spa, but bad weather, snow put paid to that. Oh, look at this, a tight squeeze here. Number 30 machine of Felipe Laser gets through, though, pulls off another move. So that's ahead of Almeida, and that will push him up the order a little bit more. So Felipe Laser getting his head down now. He's gained a couple of places on that lap. How high up the order can he get? We shall see. For David Schumacher, though, things looking more and more comfortable. He's 15 seconds clear now of Alazari, reunited with the US racing team that his dad, Ralf, runs after he raced for them back in his Formula Regional days before he moved up into the FIA Formula 3 Championship. Got 4 wins on his way to 4th in the single-seater championship. So another reunification, not just of father and son, but of team and David Schumacher. So Laser up into 8th, trying to be 7th now, ahead of El-Bakker, and much quicker than the driver he's hunting down. The number 80 car is about to be gobbled up here, I reckon, by that Felipe Laser car. I think at the next corner he's going to fly through because he's much quicker, isn't he?
Felipe Laser doing what we've seen him do so many times this season, charging through the pack, the former champion of the Nürburgring 24-hour race. He won it a couple of years ago, now in the LMP3 series this year, along with the legendary Klaus Abelin for Fricadelli Racing, but always very rapid and always pushing his way through the pack. We've got just under 16 minutes remaining of this race. I don't wish to be a doom monger, but it's gone very dark outside. There's a lot of dark clouds around. I wonder if the weather might have something to say about the result of this race. At the moment, Jakob El-Bakker holding off the attentions of Felipe Laser, doing a great job in the number 80 car, but once again, Laser just showing his nose on the left-hand side, not able to do anything there. Now across the Vido chicane into turn 10 and 11 they come. It'll be out into 11 now along the pit straight. Surely this is going to be the moment that Laser makes his move as close as he can get to Jakob El-Bakker, past the pits, flat out, in towards turn 1. Is he going to go for the inside? Is he going to go for the outside? Under the braking into turn 1, tries to go to the outside, then duck back to the inside. Jakob El-Bakker has anticipated that well. He gets it slowed down, and Laser is not able to make the move, but then he does into turn 2, going the long way around, sweeps past car number 80, but good job from Jakob El-Bakker for holding off the very experienced Felipe Laser for as long as he did.
He did indeed make hard work of that for Felipe Laser, because I thought Felipe was going to get straight past him. El-Bakker, credit to him, held him up for a lap, didn't he? But brilliant move from Laser around the outside. Let me tell you, when you are overtaken by somebody around the outside, you feel terrible. You feel like you've been mugged off, because you know they've had the harder route around the corner, the longer route around the corner, and it shouldn't really happen. But Laser is, of course, that gold standard driver. David Schumacher there, number 27 for US Racing, leading by an increased margin, 16.3 seconds clear now of Keanu Al-Azari, but Al-Azari's going to get the points for the win, effectively, isn't he, to help his battle in the championship. He's in 5th place in the standings, but he's 7 points behind Felipe Laser and Klaus Abelin coming into this race, so effectively get 25 points. But look at this, the battle is on. Marcus Pommer has caught up to Riccardo Cirelli. This is for 3rd place, but they get the points for 2nd, and it's effectively to see who goes into tomorrow 2nd in the championship. What they've got to make sure they don't do here, though, Brian, is take each other out, because both of them are trying to catch up to Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi in the championship. Don't take each other out, because at the moment, whichever order you finish in, you're both catching up, you're both outscoring the championship leaders.
Well, Torsten Kratz is some 33 seconds behind at this battle and willing them to get together, because that would really be a gift for himself and Danny Sufi in the championship. It is the youth versus the experience out of turn 11, and Pommer not really close enough at the moment. Certainly doesn't look like it as they head past the pits once again in towards turn 1. To me, looking a little bit too far back to make a challenge on this occasion. There are still 13 minutes remaining of this race. Cirelli just looking at the road ahead, not allowing himself to get distracted by what is filling his mirrors. But once again, Marcus Pommer closes up into turn 2. But Cirelli doing everything that he needs to do to hold on to that position.
Looking at Felipe Laser's lap times, despite the fact he's just been doing overtaking, he's in 7th place in the number 30 car. His last lap was a 1:26.2. His next target is Stefan Aust, whose last lap was in the 1:28. So he's 2.5 seconds a lap quicker, and he's got time enough, I reckon, to catch up to that number 71 car, get himself up to 6th place. He goes across the line, and he was 14 seconds plus back. He's now 12.5 seconds back. So Felipe Laser charging on to try and pick up another position, and if he can get past Stefan Aust, he's only 0.2 of a second behind Kratz. So 5th and 6th being reeled in by Felipe Laser. That will kick off in around about 5 minutes' time.
We welcome Stefan Aust to the grid of the Prototype Cup Germany this weekend. He's the winner of the 2021 Nürburgring 24-hour race, the SP9 Pro Am category. Races almost exclusively at the Nürburgring. He's a 4-times winner in the Nürburgring 24-hour race. He did that in the SP7 category in 2017, in the SP6 category in 2012 and 2013. Great to have him on the grid here this weekend in the number 71 car. Running solo as a bronze driver as well. So good solid job in 6th place. We look at Ralf Schumacher looking at his son, who is also doing a solid job as a guest entrance this weekend. 17.47 seconds ahead of Keanu Al-Azari. So just needs to keep doing what he's doing, keep it all together. I think Al-Azari will be pretty happy with 2nd place if he can bring it home in that. Riccardo Cirelli will be positively ecstatic if he can keep Marcus Pommer behind him for another nearly 11 minutes plus 1 lap.
Yeah, so at the moment, Kratz is in 5th place. It'll get him the points for 4th with the guest drive leading. That'll only be 13 points, but I'm worried for him that Felipe Laser is coming. He's pulled a bit further away from Stefan Aust, but Laser is coming after him. He could lose another place. Cirelli, who's 3rd on the road at the moment, will get the points for 2nd. He'll get 20 points. And Pommer, who's pushing him hard still within 7 or 8 tenths of a second of him, he's 4th. He'll get the points for 3rd and 16 points. So as it stands, with that 16 points going to Pommer, and effectively for Cirelli, the 20 points coming his way. What did I say? 13 points, wasn't it, for Torsten Kratz? The gap between the 3 of them is going to come right down. It was only 28 points covering them anyway. It'll be down to 20 points, I reckon, with Cirelli 2nd in the championship, 25 behind. Also closing on the championship leader will be Pommer. But again, Kratz is going to have to work hard to get that 5th place, because Felipe Laser is now only 10 seconds behind him and Aust.
And he's got about 9 3/4 minutes plus 1 lap to wind in Aust and find a route past him. This is the fight for 3rd place. Prototype Cup Germany 2024. Every single race has been gripping, has been entertaining. This fight for 3rd place, pretty typical of what we've come to expect from Prototype Cup Germany, a series organised by the ADAC in partnership with Creventic, and always popular with the crowds. The ground shakes when these cars go past. They sound and look mighty impressive. Also mighty impressive, Riccardo Cirelli, because still he's holding off the experience of Marcus Pommer through the Vidal chicane once again, putting it all together, keeping the car in all the right places. And as long as he's doing that, it doesn't look as though Marcus Pommer could do anything about it. Once again, he's a little bit far back into turn 11 and out onto the pit straight. Doesn't look like he's able to challenge. He does tend to get close on the exit of turn 1 into turn 2. Certainly not challenging into turn 1 at the moment. So under braking, that right-hander down the hill. But it's here on the previous laps where Pommer has got quite close. But Cirelli still looking to have him covered off.
Yeah, good job by Cirelli. Pommer, though, is making him work hard, work those tyres hard, work the car to the maximum, and that relentless pressure might tell in the end. What it means is that Cirelli has got to stay fully on it, and the car has got to stay on the limits as well. That said, of course, Pommer is pushing it to the max to keep with him and to keep within half a second, which is what that gap has been for a number of laps now. So those two, 3rd and 4th on the road, go through. Now there's less than 6 seconds between Felipe Laser in 7th and Kratz in the number 2 car in 5th, and Aust, who's just behind him, in the number 71 car. So Felipe Laser, in the next 3 laps, is going to be in a position to get past both of them and get that number 30 Fricadelli car from 7th up to 5th.
And Laser and Abelin very much in the championship hunt. They are 40 points adrift of Danny Sufi and Torsten Kratz. So there's an incentive, if ever needed, to get past those 2 cars. We still have another 3 races left after this season. We have 1 tomorrow, and then the season closer will be at the Sachsenring. That is in September. The undulating, tire-eating Sachsenring always throws up random results. So getting the points now while they can again, very, very important. Marcus Pommer's challenge on Riccardo Cirelli seems to have faltered for the time being. Is he just saving the tyres for a bit? Is he just backing off for a few moments? Is he going to launch a last attack in the last 7 minutes of this race? At the moment, Cirelli still got it covered up. This is for the last of the podium positions. Riccardo Cirelli, the youngest driver at 16 years old, with the defending champion now bearing down on him once again, and Pommer suddenly has closed back in on this battle around turn 5. Meanwhile, here is Torsten Kratz. It's Stefan Aust who's just behind him, Felipe Laser in the background, but Aust and Kratz running very much together out on the circuit.
Yeah, Stefan Aust will see in the mirrors. I'll get the message from the team. You got to go now. You got to get past Torsten Kratz, because Felipe Laser, he's almost with you. He's only 3.9 seconds back now. He's a couple of seconds a lap quicker, and when somebody's 2 seconds a lap quicker, the best one in the world, it's going to be very difficult to keep them at bay. So Aust pushing Kratz, catching him on that last lap, but they are both being gobbled up by that number 30 car in the background, which is getting closer and closer, and valuable championship points to be had here for Laser as well. He's on course at the moment for 10 points. If we get past both of them, he'll get another bag of points. He'll pick up 13 points, 3 extra points, might just make the difference at the end of the year. At the moment, Felipe Laser and Klaus Amelin are dropping down to 5th in the championship, behind Keanu Al-Azari, who's on course for 2nd in the race, and eventually the points for 25 points for the race win. So here they go, 5th, 6th, and there is 7th, now almost within sight. They are just about to come into the final corner, and just behind them, here we have a lappery going on with David Schumacher working his way through the field. That was getting past Albacher, wasn't it? So Schumacher 17.5 seconds clear of Al-Azari, which means he doesn't have to rush through the traffic at all.
5 minutes of the race remaining, plus the obligatory 1 lap. And that car there in the lap traffic, David Schumacher, with the windscreen wipers going. It has gone very dark here. There is rain in the air. The track could get very slippery very quickly if the rain starts to come. Keanu Al-Azari well, he's bearing down a little on David Schumacher. I don't think Schumacher is going to feel worried about his position. But now Cirelli with Marcus Pommer, the car twitching in turn 11, had a little look. It looked like Cirelli, we had a bit of a moment. Pommer still behind the BWT Mucker number 8 car, out along the pit straight once again. Now a little over 4 minutes plus 1 lap. Marcus Pommer looking at a completely different line into turn 1, trying to get Riccardo Cirelli to move across and block him, and then switch to the outside. That wasn't happening. Cirelli driving with great maturity, but he's still got to hold it all together for another 4 minutes plus 1 lap.
Meanwhile, at the chicane, Felipe Laser has caught up to Stefan Aust in the battle for 6th place. So they are absolutely together coming towards the end of the lap. And I think Laser is about to pull off a move. They're about to flash past our commentary box. But Laser, I think, has got through. Wait for them to come past. Yes, he has. So he's up to 6th, and he's now targeting Torsten Kratz. So it could be more points lost for the championship leaders. It probably will be, the way that Laser is catching up. He's only 1.2 seconds behind them.
This is a great battle for 3rd place as well, isn't it? What pressure for Riccardo Cirelli. I should think that Julian Apostolos can barely look on. He'll be in the pits. He's done the hard work. The car is up into 3rd place, but Marcus Pommer, who took over Valentina Catalana, flashing the lights, trying to distract him. But Cirelli, steely-eyed, looking ahead, not the distraction. Marcus Pommer just ducking out slightly there, then back in line. The track still looking a little bit greasy in places. He's got to be careful where he positions that car. In towards turn 1, once again, flashing the lights. Still Cirelli very much in control in this battle for the last of the podium positions. Of course, Marcus Pommer cannot afford to have a non-finish. He cannot afford damage. He's got to make a move that is clean if he wants to carry on with his charge in the points championship. But Riccardo Cirelli still has him covered off with 2.5 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap.
And coming up to the final corner, I think Felipe Laser is all over Torsten Kratz, and possibly is just squeezing through into the final turn. So that means, I reckon, that Laser will cross the start-finish line up into 5th place now. Not quite. He goes past the commentary box window. They're nose to tail as they go down towards turn 1, but surely the move is coming. Here they are. He's going to go all the way around the outside of Torsten Kratz. Is he? No. Kratz goes deep into the corner, though. There's a bit of contact as they switch around. Torsten Kratz is fighting for every single championship point here, and it'll be 2 points lost if he loses that position. They're battling over 5th place, but they're battling over the points for 4th, effectively. But Laser is easily the quicker of the two, and he's got 1 minute and 3/4 plus a lap to find a way past.
It's a gold driver versus a bronze-rated driver, but Torsten Kratz drawing on everything that he's got to keep that car behind. He knows this is significant in the championship challenge at the moment. Torsten Kratz still with Felipe Laser behind him, but can he carry it on for another 1 minute and 20 seconds plus the 1 lap once the clock strikes 0? A little twitch from Torsten Kratz as he rides the curbs, but still Felipe Laser not able to get past this time. But they are heading up towards the chicane now. Laser is impatient. He doesn't want to wait to get onto the pit straight. He wants to get past now. Pushing the car into turn 10, putting all the pressure on in towards turn 11. He moves to the outside. Is he going to try and sweep around and get the job done? Not yet. Into turn 11, out onto the pit straight. He's got the inside line. Now surely this is going to be the position of Felipe Laser towards turn 1. They run side by side. They make a little bit of contact, but Felipe Laser stealing that position away. Can he get it slowed down into turn 1? Yes, he can. But hats off to Torsten Kratz. Boy, did he give it everything in his defence.
The cars high-fived each other twice on that start-finish straight, didn't they? Another bump, and through went Felipe Laser. But Kratz fighting for all he was worth, but you just couldn't stop the snowball that was Felipe Laser. So he's up to 5th place now. And that, instead of getting 13 points, means it's going to be 11 points coming the way of the championship leaders, which means by my quick maths, Cirelli and Apotelos will only be 18 points behind now. Still 75 points up for grabs. They've got the gap down from 27 to 18. It's been a good day's work for them in terms of the points. And Cirelli is still just about fending off Pommer, isn't he? 0.7 of a second between them. Black and white warning flag for Felipe Laser pushing another car. Wonder where that was.
I couldn't tell you where that was. I didn't see it. Around turn 8 comes our race leader at the moment. We have a 0 time left on the clock, so it'll be whatever remains of this lap and then 1 more for that car there, the green, blue and white car that started on pole position and has dominated this race. It was Ralf Schumacher who qualified on that pole position. It was his son, David Schumacher, who took over and now starts the final lap of the race. A long way ahead of 2nd place, but Keanu Alazari showing why everybody is talking about him at the moment. The youngster in 2nd place, holding off the challenges from those around him. Riccardo Cirelli also doing a sterling job in 3rd place, with Marcus Pommer breathing down his neck. In towards turn 3, our race leader for the final time.
Yeah, about to head towards that checkered flag coming out of the last turn at the moment. That battle between Cirelli and Pommer, Ralf Schumacher about to become a very proud parent, not for the first time. David Schumacher, very talented driver, as we've seen in GTs. Stick him in a prototype, give him a V8 engine, and he can do a job as well, can't he? On his debut in the Prototype Cup and his dad's debut, they are going to romp to victory by something like 18 seconds. So the number 27 US racing car comes up the hill for the final time up towards the Vidal chicane. It's coming up to lap Stefan Haas, but he doesn't need to get past him. He doesn't need to take any risks here. And Schumacher will go left, he'll go right. He's just got 1 more corner to go, Brian.
The large crowd that are gathered on the grandstands came to see the father and son combination. They came to see former Formula 1 driver Ralf Schumacher and his son win. The crowd are happy because it is a win for Ralf Schumacher and David Schumacher in the first of 2 races this weekend. Ralf Schumacher watching on Keanu Alazari out of turn 11. He comes for that second place, but it will be a maximum point score for him as he weaves his way out across the line. Now we wait for Riccardo Cirelli. Has he held off Marcus Pommer? Yes, he has. Has Marcus Pommer got anything that he can bring to the table? No, he hasn't. Riccardo Cirelli and Julian Apostolos, valuable points in the championship, crossing the line ahead of Marcus Pommer and Valentina Castellano. And then we wait for the very impressive Felipe Laser along with Klaus Abelin rounding out the top 5.
Oh, bravo. Another great race from the Prototype Cup Germany. We've had some absolute belters this year, haven't we? And 3 more to come. Tomorrow at the Nürburgring and the Saxon Ring, the wonderful undulating Saxon Ring, should be a real feast as well. It's looking like the championship is going to go down to the wire between the top 3 in the standings. But the spoils today, not worried about championship points, just looking to get onto that top step of the podium. Ralf and David Schumacher win the race in the end by just a fraction under 17 seconds, taking it nice and easy. The last lap was David Schumacher. So quite the debut that, up against drivers that have been in these cars all season and in some cases for several seasons. That's a really good job by them and, of course, by the team who've obviously prepped a very good car, Brian.
38 laps in the book for Ralf Schumacher and David Schumacher. Keanu Alazari in second place, but taking the points for first. Julian Apostolos, Riccardo Cirelli, very much championship challengers ahead of Valentina Castellano, Marcus Pommer, Felipe Laser and Klaus Abelin ahead of Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi. Then Stefan Aust to 7th place on his return this year ahead of Jakob Erlbacher and Maxim Dirks, who came home in 8th place. In 9th place, it was Luca Link and Suelo Almeida. Good, solid finish from them. Non-finishers, Michael Lyons, Antti Ramo, and Mikkel C. Johansson along with Jaime Guzman. But there's no doubt at all about the race winners, the father and son combination. The US Racing team, which is run by Ralf Schumacher and Gerhard Unger, an embrace between father and son. The crowd came to see this. The crowd got what they wanted. Father and son going to be on the top step of the podium, providing they don't get run over by Keanu Alazari first.
Yeah, and not ideal for the overall championship for Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi. But for the trophy championship, Antti Ramo, a non-finish, was the points leader. Torsten Kratz was only 38 points behind him, and he will have gobbled that gap up now as well. Also got the junior championship for the younger drivers. That is still being led by a long way by Danny Sufi, but again, he's lost ground to Catalano, will have closed that gap up. And here is, though, the race winner, about to take his helmet off. You can see the glint, the smile in his eyes. That now is 3 wins on the trot for David Schumacher, isn't it? If you add together the 2 GT Masters races on ADAC weekends. Very, very good form at the moment is David Schumacher. There is Ralf Schumacher. And well, it's like he's never been away. 12 years off. Supposed to be Rusty Ralph, but you're clearly not. A race winner.
I think the name Rusty Ralph will not stick on that one then. Yes, David Schumacher, we'll be seeing him in the ADAC GT Masters in a couple of weeks at Spa-Francorchamps. There's Keanu Alazari. There's Riccardo Cirelli receiving fist bumps all around. Watch out for these two, Cirelli and Alazari, along with Julian Apostolos as well. They are coming up and they are knocking on the door, and they are the future, well, they're not the future superstars, they're the current superstars in motorsport, but the great things ahead for that man there. But the Schumacher family making their name once again, posing for photographs, photos that will appear in newspapers, magazines and on websites around the world. The headline, Ralf Schumacher is back. David Schumacher, his co-driver with him as well. Really, really good stuff, really entertaining. Looking forward to seeing what they do tomorrow. It'll be David Schumacher who does the first stint in the car.
Yep, and as I said in the 2 qualifying sessions, which were both in the dry. There wasn't really anything between them, so no reason to think they can't repeat the success. So he last stood on the top step of the podium at the Nürburgring as a Formula 1 driver in 2003, winning the European Grand Prix for Williams, back when Williams was still winning races in Formula 1. He's about to go onto the top step some 21 years later with his son alongside him.
Great to see Julian Apostolos on the podium. We've watched him come through TCR Germany, GT4 Germany, the very likeable Chiana Alazari, who beat 50 other drivers to that seat in the Mullner car. But the headlines here at the Nürburgring, it's Schumachers on the top step of the podium. The father and the son, first father and son winners ever in Prototype Cup Germany, and what a names to do it. The Schumachers, legendary here in Germany. We're going to have, I think, the trophy winner as well, I think. Would you see? Yes, we are. Klaus Ablin,
won it, yeah.
Yeah, who will come up onto the podium, wherever he may be. Hurry up, it's starting to rain.
It's dark, bro.
It certainly goes dark.
It's night time.
They've got a representative from us racing on the podium already in the shape of Ralf Schumacher, but they might get another one up there as well for the team. We'll see about that. Yeah. So Ralph's saying, yeah, you come over here and we'll get you on. Right, national anthem time. The short version. So, trophies to be presented. Just almost emotional seeing Ralf Schumacher on the top step of a podium at Nürburgring, isn't it? Really good to see. Bringing lots of focus on this wonderful series. Klaus Hassenpusch, Board of Directors for the local club ADAC, presenting the trophies to our race winners. Chiana Alazari, somebody signed that man up. Klaus Ludwig presenting the trophy. A past legend to a future legend. And Julian Apostolos and Riccardo Cirelli receiving their third place trophies as well. Has anybody found Klaus Ablin yet? So us racing will get the team trophy as well.
I think Klaus Ablin is still marvelling at those lap times for Felipe Laser to drag that car back into 5th place in the second half of the race.
So there's the trophy that is being presented to David Schumacher, an additional trophy. There's the team trophy as well that has been presented to us racing. So they'll pose for photographs. Rather ironically, if that's the word, they are going to be celebrating with champagne that comes from Ralf Schumacher's vineyard. Schumacher champagne will be sprayed in just a few moments, and I think there may be a little bit more of that, celebrating with that tonight in the paddock afterwards. So the photographs have been taken. Now for the champagne bites. Get the corks popped, get the spraying done, and soon our focus will turn to race 10 of the season in this, the penultimate round of the 2024 season for Prototype Cup Germany. We're going to be back at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, local time, for race 10. It will be the last race before we head into the season finale at the Sachsenring in September. But at the moment, Schumacher and Schumacher holding Schumacher champagne. There's a bit of a theme going on here, isn't there? Here at the Nürburgring as we celebrate a thoroughly entertaining race 9 of the season for Prototype Cup Germany. The photographs that will be making the front pages of the Motorsports magazines this coming week as well. Now being taken, and a couple more photos, and we will turn our attention to tomorrow morning. We do hope you have enjoyed this race 9 of the season. Join us at 10 o'clock local time tomorrow morning for race 10. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.